people have a really hard time with accepting that rehabilitation, change, and reflection requires community. And that's not something that happens if we abandon and turn on our friends the second that they do something wrong. So let me tell you my take on all of this.
Dude, where are you? Pick up your phone. I'm going to a summer party tonight, and you're obviously invited, so call me back. Okay, love you.
What's up, you guys, and welcome back to Emotionally Online, the weekly slumber party for spilling guts and sharing secrets, hosted by yours truly, full bushed up, Maddie Drosbeck. I don't know why I told you that. I guess I just felt like in a world full of stolen valor bushes, be the full bush you wish to see in the world, or something like that. I understand that I am being rage baited successfully. And you know what? Maybe I'm letting you do it. Maybe I am letting Kim Kardashian rage bait me on purpose. Maybe I'm okay with that. Okay. Maybe sometimes I just want things to yell about. Have you considered that? Okay. Maybe I'm okay with being baited every now and then. In a world full of bitches wearing nipple bras and fake toupee bush thongs, be the bitch who grows her shit organically. Okay. You bitches wish that you could have a bush like me. Real bush havers know what's going on right now, and you Skims customers have no fucking clue what it's like to have an organic bush in the year 2025. Can you even believe that? Someone who has no idea what I'm talking about is hearing the words come out of my mouth right now, and they feel like a pilgrim who's been dropped into the year 2025 with no further context or knowledge about what's going on. And I think that's beautiful. And I almost don't even want to supply you with context, because I think you're experiencing something truly profound right now. I don't want to take that joy and, wonder and whimsy of this moment away from you. But basically, if you haven't heard, Skims dropped a thong that has a fake bush attached to it, fake pubic hair attached to it. I actually don't know if this is a real release that they're doing or if this is simply a gag that they put on their website for the fuck of it. Google it, look up Skims bush thong, and you can go click on that page and see it for yourself. It comes in a bunch of different hair colors. So you can customize that bush to be whatever color you'd like the carpet to be, as they say. And it just, as someone who's been on the internet in the Big Bush Brigade, the BBB, the Better Business Bureau, yes, the Big Bush Brigade for years, as someone who's been on the internet being pro pubic hair for years, I've been leading the charge on all the bitches who want to feel free of the pressure to shave. The idea of someone, because there's at least one person who saw that was like, oh my God, no, this is awesome. Oh my God, wait, no, should I buy it? The idea of someone wearing a toupee bush after I've spent my life defending the fact that I haven't shaved in years. Like, fuck you guys. Actually, fuck you. My thing is, like, there is at least one person out there that saw that and was like, no, this is fucking awesome. Like, there's always at least one person. There's a market for everything. And the mere idea of this person out there that doesn't want to grow a bush themselves because they are attached to this idea of what is sexy and feminine and desirable, and having a full bush isn't on that checklist to them. The idea of this person that wants a toupee bush so that they can cosplay being truly free. Ooh, you make me mad, whoever you are out there. The 5 total people who are in this demographic, you have successfully rage baited me, because now I'm pissed off. All right? Me and all the other people who haven't shaved in years would like to have a word with you and your toupee bush. All right? I'm going to hold your bush when I say this, and I rip it off. And we all point and laugh at you. Because what? Because what the hell are we spending our money on, people? What the hell are we doing? I did, however, spend my personal money on something good this week, which was some art supplies, and little tiny gold frames to go on my fridge so that my friends and I could paint/draw portraits of mango. I hosted a little mango day yesterday. Bought a bunch of bagels and pastries, and then I baristaed it up for everyone while we just sat around my kitchen table and did art together. And it was so much fun. I really think that Bertucci's and I don't know, all these other restaurants back in the day that used to give kids crayons when you walked in the door, all of those kinds of restaurants were really onto something, because there's something beautiful about sitting around a table, eating and drinking things, and also coloring at the same time. And I don't know why that's an activity that is exclusively marketed to children, because as an adult, I really enjoyed it. And now I'm like, should I just always set up an art station when people come over so that we can talk and also just doodle and draw at the same time? Is that crazy? Because I feel like it would kind of be so much fun. But I wanted to host a little mango day because I wanted to do something that felt like a celebration and that invited the people that are closest to me and were closest to Mango as well, an opportunity to honor her and, you know, for me to have a little part of them and the way that they saw Mango, the way that they loved Mango through the eyes of the people that I love the most. I wanted to have a little piece of that captured forever. So all the drawings and paintings are on my fridge now. I love them so much. And I kind of just want to get a bunch more frames and keep building it out. Every time somebody comes over to the apartment, ask them to draw or paint a picture of Mango. It doesn't matter how good or bad it is. Like, I wouldn't say that drawing and painting is necessarily my strong suit. I think it could be, because I believe in myself, okay? I believe in myself and my skills and my talents more than anyone else does, but I've just never really dedicated a good chunk of my time to honing in on those skills, on those potential skills. I've never poured a lot of time into it. I never really took any art classes, not even in high school, really, because, you know, you got to pick your electives, and I always went with photography, film, with public speaking, with theater. Like I was always that kind of vibe instead of taking art classes. In hindsight, I think it would have been fun to do that, but you know, life is only so long. We only have time to have so many hobbies, but I'm the type of person that if I could have every hobby, I think I would. I love trying things, everybody. But anyways, the reason why I say that is because I'm not necessarily the most talented person when it comes to drawing or painting, but you figure it out and you have fun. It doesn't matter how good or bad it is. What matters is that it is from you. It's your lens. It's your creation. I don't give a fuck what it looks like. I just love that I have these little drawings of Mango from my friends to put on my fridge. That brings me a lot of joy. So that was money well spent to me, both on the art supplies and on the food and beverage supplies to make it a whole day for my friends. Always worth it to bring people together and have not only a little moment of community on a Sunday morning, but to have a little custom piece of art to keep in your home forever. That is what money is for, people. Okay? With all the money you're dropping on your toupee bushes, you could be spending it on treating your besties and making some art together, like you're at Bertucci's and they just gave you a pack of crayons and wiki sticks, right? Is that what those were called? Those were gross, by the way. Can I say that now? Now that I'm 28 years old, can I say wiki sticks were fucking disgusting? They were like, if you don't know, they were like these little wax sticks that they would give you at these restaurants to play with, and you could bend them and put them in different shapes, but they were gross. It was just like a waxy kind of sick and twisted and disgusting. I can't believe we're at the end of October already. Life has really been just a blur to me lately. I do not know what day it is. I don't understand the passage of time. Everything feels weird. I'm a blob just floating through space. Pay no mind to me. I'm barely here. I can't believe it's almost end of October, beginning of November, meaning that the New York City mayoral election is right around the corner. I've said it many times. I will continue saying it over and over and over again. I can't wait to vote for Zohran fucking Mamdani and make him our next mayor. He is such a fucking rock star. All of the questions they asked them at the most recent debate, I'm sure that many of you, even if you don't live in New York City, have probably seen a lot of these clips because it's absurd. It's absurd. The question that they asked them about parades, I'm like, who wrote that? I'm interested in, we have the politicians, right? The people who are like on the stage engaging in these debates. And then you have the people asking the questions, but I want to talk to the people in that writer's room who were cooking them up and putting them together. And I want to know how many of those people are fucking around for entertainment value and trying to make these debates more watchable to like the general population and people that have no desire to lock in. Like, who in that room is cooking up these questions just to like lure in an audience that wouldn't otherwise be there? Because I'm convinced there's no other reason why they would ask them the question about fucking parades, where we get a quote as truly unexplainable as every parade has a right to exist in New York City. Hey, what the fuck are we talking about? Every parade has a right to exist in New York City. The question was like, as the mayor of New York City, there are a lot of parades that you would usually be expected to attend. Are there any parades that you would not attend or that you think should not exist? Or are there any parades that you would like to add to the list of various parades that we have going on in New York City, famously known for its parades, I guess? And you have Sliwa and Cuomo, who are both like, yeah, let's get in on those parades as mayor. I will be at as many parades as humanly possible. I do love parades. And then you have Zohran Mamdani, who's literally the only normal person up there, who's like, you know what? There's actually lots of parades that I wouldn't go to because I would be busy focused on doing my job as mayor and making this city a better place to live. And you have Sliwa in the corner who's like, well, but you're the mayor. You gotta go to the parades. Do parades have a right to exist here in New York City? And if they do, how many, if any, would you not be attending, and name names? If you're gonna be a hater, name those parades right now. And it's like, brother, there's no way that this is fucking important. There's no way that this is important to anybody. There's no way that there's even a single goddamn person in the entirety of this city who is like, I'm a single issue voter and that issue is parades and whether or not the mayor is going to be there. Hey, actually, my niece is having a birthday party, and if the mayor's not going to be there, then I'm going to vote him out. We're not going to vote him into office, actually, because he needs to be at all city-wide events. And my niece's birthday party happens to be quite important to me as a New Yorker. Like, what's going on? I have to believe it's like the marketing clippability of it all, because I can't fathom why that would be a question. Why there's so often so many questions in these debates that are like, why is this a question for the fucking mayor? You guys are just being distracting. Like, this is so unhelpful. So anyways, I'm really excited to vote for Zohran. Early voting starts next weekend, or when you're listening to this, I believe it's this weekend. So if you're in New York City, start making your plan to vote early. And obviously election day is in November. So you've got like 2 weeks, maybe, from the time that this is airing. Less. I think it's less than 2 weeks by the time this is airing. So make those plans, find those polling sites, vote for Zohran Mamdani, because it's literally the only option. Everyone is crazy. I don't... I saw a video the other day on TikTok where the opening line is, some of you aren't friends, you're cops. And we need to bring this video to center stage here at Emotionally Online Enterprises because I have so much to say. So let's give this video a listen. It is by at Rory Birdie on TikTok, RORYBRDY. Let's get into it.
I don't know when it became like normal, popular, or the standard to behave like a cop in your friendships and relationships with others, but I think it's why none of you have any friends. It's like throughout your entire friendship, all you're doing is just waiting for someone to fuck up. You're banking on the fact that they're gonna make some mistake, big or small, real or perceived, and it's gonna be some gotcha moment. And instead of holding them to account like a good friend because they're your friend and you love them, you call them out and you cut them off and you treat them like they've committed a crime. Some of you aren't even waiting. You're surveilling your friends like fucking detectives. You're going through their following lists and cross-referencing with locations and story views and likes and comments and shares and posts. And it's like, holy shit, do you even love your friends, or are you just salivating to catch them in a lie? I don't know, it's probably just a symptom of the over-policing of our increasingly fascist society writ large, that so many of you are just little cops in your friendships with others.
When I first saw that video, I was like, there are so many people who need to see that and like really truly internalize what's being said and self-analyze a little bit, because that is a thought that I have had on a loop over the past like 2 to 3 years, let's call it. Obviously, we talk about friendship a lot on this podcast, and being in these like deep, intimate, villager partner level friendships with people is a value that I hold near and dear to my heart. And I've said on the show before that the older that I got and the more people that I met, the more I realized that a lot of people just don't experience friendship in the way that I have with my friends. Some people don't know what it means to be a friend, whether it is, you know, some past examples were ditching your friend drunk at a bar, or the inverse of that, your friend is throwing up at the bar and you won't take them home. These examples of being inconvenienced or annoyed by your friends and then just throwing your hands up and saying, fuck it, actually, I'm not going to be a friend to you because you have inconvenienced or annoyed me in some way. Or even just observing people have more surface level friendships and believe that that is like the extent of what friendship can be in their lives, and being totally content with something that is more for fun than anything else. A party friend, you know, someone to be silly with on the weekends. But at the end of the day, you're not really connecting on anything more substantive than, you know, what happens when you're 5 shots of tequila in. We've talked about things like that on this podcast all the time, but I think that there is another subsect of people who maybe are engaging in what they believe to be deep, meaningful, intimate friendships with people. But when these people get the opportunity to be holier than thou in some way, or to catch their friend out, doesn't matter how big or small the infraction is, they are waiting, salivating, just chomping at the bit for their friend to have some type of misstep or mistake so that they can gotcha them and feel more morally superior. We see this on the internet a lot, with people doing this with people they don't know, or people they only know through TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or whatever. But people are also behaving this way in their actual friendships as well. And I thought it was interesting because right after I saw this video, I saw another video from a creator that I love, Horace Gold. Everything that Horace says, I just find myself sitting, nodding along and going, yep, So often I'm watching a Horace Gold video and just know that I'm sitting here looking at my phone going, thank fucking God there's someone with a brain on this godforsaken application on TikTok.com. Okay. But right after I saw this, Some of You Aren't Friends, Your Cops video, I saw a video from Horace Gold talking about cheating. And this feels extremely relevant to this conversation. Horace Gold basically posted this video talking about how when a friend of his cheated on her boyfriend, he did not go tell the boyfriend that she had cheated on him because it was his responsibility to show up for his friend and help her sort of reckon with her actions and encouraging her to break up with him and move on and, you know, whatever else. And I've talked about something similar to this on the show before. And a lot of people disagreed with me when I said it. So it was no surprise to me that I saw a lot of people disagreeing with Horace Gold in the comments when he gave his take on all of this. But I do understand it to some degree because cheating is a topic that is very sensitive and touchy, and people have very passionate opinions about it, myself included. I have very passionate opinions about cheating because of the ways cheating has touched me in my life. I was the other woman unknowingly, and it crushed me. It destroyed me to be forced into a position where I was involved in hurting another woman in that way without knowing, because I would never do that knowingly. To be hurt by the person that was cheating in that way, to be betrayed by them in that way, and to also be betrayed in like the roping in and having to hurt another woman that I never would have done, that impacted me a lot. I have also seen my friends and people close to me go through cheating, and I have also been friends to people who have cheated. And again, this is a topic that lots of us have very passionate opinions about. So it's not surprising to me that when something like this gets brought up on the internet, the comment sections are volatile. When I was looking at the comments on Horace's TikTok specifically, it's hard for me to not read some of those comments and just think that this is another example of people loving to live in the black and white with absolutely no gray in life, which to me usually just comes off as juvenile or someone that's younger, because I think that I might have held some of the opinions that those people in the comment section hold when I was 18, 19. But then you get a little older and you're like, people are way more complicated. Life is way more complicated than just being like, okay, my friend cheated and now they're an evil, diabolical person that I need to cut off and throw away and, you know, be a bitch to, because that is the justice that the other person needs, is for my friend to be friendless and alone and just rotting in their apartment for the rest of their lives. Like it's people have a really hard time with accepting that rehabilitation, change, and reflection requires community. And that's not something that happens if we abandon and turn on our friends the second that they do something wrong. So let me tell you my take on all of this. Cheating is horrible. If any of my friends were cheated on, I would tell them to leave that person fucking immediately, because that is not how someone who loves them would treat them. I think that to cheat on someone is to make a conscious choice to do that. I don't believe in making excuses for people who cheat. When you entered your relationship, you entered it knowing that there was a certain agreed upon list of boundaries and rules. And if you're monogamous, being loyal to each other was one of them. And if you were unhappy or unsatisfied, or, you know, your relationship's going through a rocky patch, yada, yada, whatever, and you resulted to dealing with that via cheating, that was the wrong choice. You made a mistake. You made a bad call, presumably because you are not emotionally mature enough or were deeply struggling with something and made objectively the wrong choice when it comes to solving whatever that issue was. To me, there is no excuse for cheating. It is always bad. I am vehemently against it. Anyone that cheats on my friends, I will tell them every single time, fucking leave them. You deserve better than that. And if anyone cheated on me, they'd get the same response from me. With that being said, my loyalty is always going to be to my friends. So if my friend is not the person who's been cheated on, but is instead the cheater, as this person's friend, if my friend comes to me and they say, Maddie, I fucked up. I cheated on my boyfriend last night. What do I do? There is no universe where I would look at my friend and say, you are such a fucking bad person. Go fuck yourself. I have nothing left to say to you. I'm not going to be your friend because you cheated on your boyfriend. My job as a friend is to be a friend. And that means showing up for your people when they do something wrong. If my friend comes to me and says, Maddie, I cheated. What the fuck do I do? I'm going to look at them and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to say, you fucked up. This is wrong. This never should have happened, but I'm going to stick with you and help you figure this out because I know you. I know your heart. This is not the kind of person I know you to be. Let's do what we can. Let's figure this out so that we can get you back to the person I know that you are. It is my job as your friend to be a keeper of all the versions of you and help you remember who you are when you fall off the path, fall off the wagon in some way. Now, I think there's a major difference here when it comes to like serial cheaters and people who cheat once. If my friend came to me and they were like, oh yeah, I cheated on my boyfriend and I'll probably do it again this weekend and I'm done with it. I hate that guy. And they weren't full of remorse and wanting to know how to do better and work through it. That's when you'd see me start to be like, oh my God, like, do we just have a completely different set of values? Are we just totally different people? Because I couldn't be friends with someone who was, about cheating, didn't care that much, didn't think it was as bad as it was, didn't feel remorseful, didn't feel regret, didn't want to do everything they could to change it. Like, I could not be friends with someone who didn't give a fuck that they cheated, but I can, and I will, be friends with people who cheat and who want to process that mistake, heal from it, and do better. I understand why people can get so black and white when it comes to cheating because it is so deeply painful and fucking traumatic. And people should understand the weight of their actions and their words and what kind of mental damage cheating can do to someone. It's no fucking joke. Like, I think it's good that people take it seriously. However, nothing in life is black and white. And to look at your friends and be like, yeah, if you ever fuck up, if you ever do something that's out of your character, if you ever do something that I disagree with, if you ever do something that I think is bad, if you ever fuck up in any way, I will not be your friend. To me, that is not friendship. I don't want the people that are close to me, the people that are my best friends that I say I'm ride or die for, I don't want those people to believe that if they fuck up, if they go through something, if they are really fucking struggling and they make a mistake during one of the lowest periods of time in their life, that I would leave them for it, that they have to walk on eggshells around me because I might leave if they're not a perfect angel of a person. I don't want the people closest to me in my life to think that my love for them is that fleeting. And listen, we could cook up 100 different made up scenarios. There will always be examples of times where, your friend does something that does make you want to end the friendship or does make you want to walk away. But I'm talking in a general sense here. Assuming that my friend is the person I think they are, because I'm not friends with people who are fucking evil or weird. Okay? So I'm thinking about my best friends who are the kindest, most emotionally intelligent people on the fucking planet. If one of my friends cheats on someone, I'm not in my head going, oh, so they're fucking evil and I'm going to ditch them. I'm in my head going, okay, let's lock into friend mode right now because this is not you. This is not who you are, and we need to get you back to who you are. And as long as my friend is willing to take full accountability for what they've done and honestly wants to understand the weight of their actions and do better moving forward, that's literally all you can ask. People who don't give a fuck and are fine just being a plow of destruction and they don't care who they hurt along their path to getting what they want, those are bad people that you shouldn't be friends with, right? But I think that as you get older, you might have some experiences in your life that change the way you think about cheating. When someone that you love, that you think can do no wrong, all of a sudden does something wrong. And what happens then? And I think I've had moments like this in my life where people who were like on such pedestals in my life did something terrible, not even necessarily cheating, but like looking at people that I admired, that I loved, that I thought could do no wrong. And then they fucked up, and having to grapple with that was hard. I'm not saying it's not hard. It's sometimes difficult to watch people that you love make shitty fucking decisions. 100% it is. But at the end of the day, when I say that I love someone, when I say that I am ride or die for someone, I mean that. It's just interesting to me how these comment sections evolve into something that is so black and white. Once you cheat, you are an evil, irredeemable person, and you need to be locked away in a fucking tower with no friends and no community and no nothing. I don't think that's reasonable. I don't. But, and this is another level of nuance here as well, just because I believe that someone who cheats should still have friends and community and people who can help them process what they've done, that does not mean that I think that you as the partner, as the person that was cheated on, needs to be that person for them. If you ever get cheated on, I think your best bet is to break up, distance yourself, and let that be someone else's problem. It is not your job to forgive someone or make them feel okay with what they've done. I think that it is not your job as the person who got cheated on to comfort the person who cheated on you through the decision that they made, to forgive them for it, to move on from it. That's not your job, right? I think that usually my advice would be to break up, move on, let their friends help them learn and grow and be different. Let them be different for someone else. Don't wait for them to be different for you, because, I think there should be an end date on things. I think that there should be lines of what we're willing to accept, the kind of treatment we're willing to accept from people. I hope that you grow. I hope that you do better. I hope that you don't ever make someone else feel the way you made me feel, but I'm not going to stick around to see that happen. I hope that you are surrounded by good friends and good community that can help you get to that place, but I'm going to put me first, and I just can't be around you ever again. That is reasonable to me. I think that is how I would approach this kind of stuff. But I think that sometimes, particularly if you are hurting, if you have experienced some kind of betrayal, I think it is almost easier to go all the way to the black and white approach of being like, this person is an evil, irredeemable person, and that's why they did what they did to me, versus accepting that all of us are deeply imperfect people that could make a mistake like this, that could do bad things. I believe that you can do a bad thing and not be a bad person. You can also do a bad thing and be a bad person. That's certainly also on the table. But my point here is just to say that it's the black and white thinking of lumping every single person in and basically taking the side of like, yeah, once you cheat on someone, you don't deserve friends, you don't deserve community, you don't deserve anything. If someone decides to be a friend to you, I'm going to judge them too for being your friend. Like, I don't know how you expect anyone to ever get better and be different if they don't have community and people to show up for them and lift them up. I think that it's just kind of, I don't know, it's just confusing to me when people don't seem to want people to have any kind of rehabilitation for their actions, no level of change. They don't care about that at all. They just want someone to disappear, and they don't want them to have any level of support or happiness in their lives ever again because of this mistake that they've made. If one of my friends is cheating, something is deeply fucking wrong. It's time more than ever that I show up for them and help make sure they have the support that they need. I just find it interesting that people are so willing to commit to the black and white thinking when it comes to certain subjects, to be a cop towards their friends. And again, have your standards, have your values. I'm pretty sure everyone who listens to this show knows that I am passionate about this topic, that I have hard and fast opinions when it comes to cheating. I just also have hard and fast opinions when it comes to friendship. So no, I wouldn't be friends with someone who just was fucking around willy-nilly and didn't care at all, had no remorse, and had every intention to keep doing it. But if my friend comes to me and is like, Maddie, I fucked up, what do I do? I'm never going to spit in my friend's face and tell them to go fuck themselves. What? And I think it's weird that people believe that that is more important than showing up for your friend that you disagree with. I don't know why being right and kicking someone when they are clearly fucking struggling hard enough to act completely out of themselves. Like, I just have to disagree with that. But it's complicated and it's emotional, and I understand why people get fired up about it. I just wish that there was more room for gray area in people's lives, because I actually think that all of us would be happier if you let the gray area exist. And I don't want any of my friends to feel like they have to be perfect in order to stay in my life. You know, you can fuck up and still be my friend. You just have to have an ability to self-reflect and be vulnerable and emotional with it. If you can't do that and you don't give a fuck about being a bulldozer and just fucking with other people's lives, then that's totally fucking different. And that's when our values stop aligning and we're just incompatible friends at that point. That's when I walk away. But there are so many situations in between this and that. You know what I mean? Like, there's 100 different shades of gray in the middle before you get to those hard black and white endings where the mistake starts to impede upon your set of values. And I wish people understood that more. And if you don't follow Horace on TikTok, definitely do. Because he is brilliant. And I feel like he's always saying things that I feel like they were ripped straight from my own brain. So love following Horace. Love when other people on the internet just fucking get it. Let's dive into some audience submissions. It's been a minute since I've really gotten into the box. Oh my God, like weeks and weeks and weeks. If you don't know, if you're new here, we do have an audience submission box where you can submit anything and everything that's on your heart, on your mind. You got a request for advice, and am I the asshole? Tell me the drama, tell me the juice. We're at the sleepover, open circle. What's said at the sleepover stays at the sleepover. So let's dive into the submission box. Hi, Maddie. If you're reading this, I want to thank you for taking your time to answer. Every time you read one of those, I'm always in awe of how much attention and heart you pour in every submission and how detailed and empathetic your answers are. I finally have the courage to write one myself. I think my question for you is a simple one, but there's quite a lot behind it. How to write. When I was a child, my first dream was to become an author. I would write all the time. I would make up whole worlds in my head, characters, civilizations. I still remember how exciting it was to create something on a tiny piece of paper, to pour your mind and emotions into it. Besides that, I would talk about it all the time. I used to show my stories to whoever was interested. I can't fully remember why, but another dream replaced my first one. Another job, another path of life, probably in middle school. And this year I finished my master's degree in this field and I feel so fulfilled. But I still liked to write, and I did. I did competitions, I wrote fiction, but also poetry, sometimes just my thoughts. But because of one teacher, I became too critical of my own writing. Maybe it started there. To be honest, I was avoiding this topic for years. And as I'm writing this submission for you, I'm slowly figuring this out. So thank you for making space for things like this. I became overly critical of my work. No matter what I wrote, it felt silly to me, cringe, stupid. And I still feel that way. The same thing with journaling. I have papers, notebooks full of past experiences, thoughts, and pains. And I know that they were valid when I wrote them, but my God, I can't take it seriously now. It feels like I'm ashamed, like I'm showing it to someone, and from the fear of being laughed at, I'm saying, yeah, it's stupid, right? But there is no one besides me when I try to write or read my stuff. I'm ashamed even in front of myself. But I so desperately want to return. I have this deep itch to return to just doing it. So yes, my question for you is how to write, but more importantly, how do I take my thoughts and feelings seriously? How to stop ridiculing my own creations. I'm just curious what happened. Did I kill it? Did someone else do it? Did it die because I'm not good enough? I really admire your passion for writing, poetry and how you're willing to share what you created. That's why I trust your opinion on this matter so much. You are really inspiring. Thank you so much for reading this. Well, first of all, thank you for all the nice things that you said about me and this show and my writing. That is very kind of you. And when I read your submission, I had such a reaction to it because this is something that I think about all the time. Honestly, I sometimes look back on my younger self and I wonder where my courage came from. I've mentioned before on the show about how inspired I am by my younger self. And part of why I say that is because I was so unafraid to be myself and to be cringe, to wear my passions and my creations so publicly, to share them so publicly. And it's hard for me to even totally put myself back in the position of how I felt in my younger years when I first started sharing my creativity, because I always remember that people were mean. But I think I always just believed my own opinions and my own assessment of what was good or cool over what other people thought of me. It just didn't matter to me as much. Like there's this one talent show that I did in high school that I've referenced a couple times. I think I even showed a little bit of it on the Patreon, but I did a Lady Gaga tribute at my school's talent show when everyone else that did the talent show just got up there with a guitar, and I did a monologue, I sang, and then I did official choreography, and I was dressed up like Lady Gaga. I had weird makeup on. I had made a DIY Born This Way jacket to do this Lady Gaga tribute in my high school auditorium at the talent show. And I open up the whole little show by doing a monologue that Lady Gaga did at the Monster Ball. And it starts with her saying, "My name is Lady Gaga," and screaming at the top of her lungs. And I was like 15 or 16 years old, and I just did this in front of my whole fucking high school. Imagine that, being 15 or 16 years old in weird Lady Gaga makeup, in a little costume that you DIY'd, reciting a monologue where you scream at the top of your lungs, that came directly from Lady Gaga's Monster Ball concert tour. Then you sing, which is vulnerable in and of itself, and then you're going to do official choreography, all for your classmates to see while everyone else just goes up there and sings beautifully with a guitar. You are trying to be mini Lady Gaga at the age of 15, 16. And I think back on that and I'm like, oh my God, that was like really brave. That was really courageous. And I'm like impressed with myself that I chose to do something like that. And I've thought back to myself a couple times, like, how was I not embarrassed? How was I not worried about what other people were gonna say about me? Because people did say things about me. People were rude. People did say that I was cringe, that I was weird. I got made fun of for making videos my whole life. Everything that I did was cringe. But I think that at the time, I looked around and thought everyone in my hometown was just the same. Everyone was exactly the same, had the same perspectives, the same stories. People wanted to live quieter, more traditional lives than I did. And I think the reason why I wasn't bothered by other people not thinking that what I did was cool or good, or that it was too cringe, was because I had accepted that they just didn't get me, that they didn't understand. And if they thought it was cool, I honestly would have been off put by it, because if they thought it was cool, it was undoubtedly not cool. So if for them to look at me and be like, oh, she's weird and this is cringe and it's uncool, I was sort of like, for sure. You know what I mean? Because if you thought it was good, it was going to be a real problem, because you lack taste. I don't need anybody who lacks taste to think that I'm cool. And I think I was so passionate. I loved Lady Gaga so much. I really believed in what she did. And I just believed in my own ability and my own taste palette. Now, looking back at those things and looking back on other things, I self-published a collection of poetry when I was 20. And some of you may still have that book in your hands. It was called Aftershock. You can no longer buy it. I still have a copy of it, I think. And but I do obviously have the files. I know what poems were in that. But it was a collection of poetry that I had written as a teenager, and I published it on my 20th birthday. That was something I was really proud of. And it was also deeply cringe because it was so vulnerable. And looking back on that collection now, do I think it was good? No. But that is neither here nor there. And it wasn't important to me at the time either. What was important to me was that I was being creative and expressing my creativity publicly without this pressure of feeling like I needed to be a finalized version of myself before I was allowed to share it with people. And when I look back and I read that poetry now, a lot of it is not very good, admittedly. It was when I was first learning how to write poetry and I was experimenting with a lot of things and honestly just having fucking fun. Like poetry was an outlet to me at that time. And so a lot of it's not really good, but a lot of it's really sweet and just like very classically teenage. But there are a couple of poems in that book that I go back and I've read and I've been like, oh, there's a glimmer there. You can see something. You can see my potential. You can see where things started to change. Gears started to turn when I started getting better at writing, how I was learning and growing and changing. And you can really see that I am a talented writer. I just need more time to hone in on it and explore more and learn a little bit more and be creative. I was a creative writing minor in college, so I was taking poetry courses, and you can see how my writing starts to get better towards the end of the book. But most of it is not my best work. I was a teenager, and the goal was not to write something groundbreaking or do something that's never been done before. The goal was to stretch your creative muscle and let yourself have fun doing it. It didn't matter to me if other people thought it was bad or thought it was cringe, because to me, it was about honoring myself, showing up for me, keeping promises to myself. I promise to me that I will be creative, that I will let myself stretch my creative muscles without feeling like I need to be fucking Shakespeare in order to share it with people. Like I wanted to feel like being creative was something that I didn't need to, compete with people on or even compete with myself on. It was just something that I had to do. You know what I mean? Like it's not about being the best or being better than someone else or even being better than me. It's just the act of doing it that I find important. And I think because it was always the act of doing it that I found important, I got better at everything that I've ever poured myself into creatively, whether it was writing poetry or dancing or editing videos or, you know, whatever it is. You can list off all of my various creative passions. I think that over the years, I've just gotten better at everything that I have ever dedicated myself to because I gave myself the space to do it at all. But I think that that's the thing that holds people back because they think that, you know, to be creative, and want to share that with people and wear it on your sleeve. People want to be this finalized, like final boss. I've nailed it all. Creatively, I am fucking just the best. I am the best artist, writer of this generation. Like you feel this pressure to be the best at what you do before you can share with people. But that is not realistic because the only way you get better is by being in the practice of. And I do think that sharing, at least for me, has been really a part of my practice of creating because some of it is learning how to block out the noise and trust your own perspective over the perspectives of other people. It's not something that happens overnight. And it's not something you're going to snap your fingers with and be like, oh, and now I don't care what other people think of me. I have to work at not caring what other people think about me every single day. I have to work at showing up for myself, keeping promises to myself, and honoring and trusting my own creative vision over what other people think I should do every day of my life. But that's something that I'm committed to because I believe in myself. So, couple things. Number one, the next time you find yourself stuck in a loop of negative self-talk, the next time you write something and you think to yourself, oh, this is stupid and bad and horrible and awful, I need you to stop dead in your tracks. Tell yourself that that voice that you're hearing is not you. That is the voice of people who have doubted you and talked down on your work in the past, but that is not you. That is the voice of this teacher that became hypercritical of your writing. It's the voice of classmates or peers that maybe didn't understand your perspective, your writing, didn't think it was good. All the people, all the various people that you've come across in your life that made you feel low, those are their voices. That is not yours. Get good at calling it out and then start getting good at separating it from yourself. It's fine that it's there, but you need to point at it and remind yourself that that's not you. That idea that what you're creating is cringe and stupid and not good enough, that has been placed there by someone else. Separate yourself from it. Number two, give yourself permission to write something bad. I write shitty things all the fucking time. Sometimes I sit down to write poetry and I just stare at the page and I start writing shit down and I read it back. I'm like, this is garbage. This is not good. But it was the practice, the exercise of writing that was important. And just because I can't come up with something fantastic today doesn't mean I won't come up with something fantastic tomorrow. And me writing a bad poem today does not make me a bad poet. This belief that we can reach like the God level of our craft, that we get good at something and we stay good at it forever, and we don't have to continue learning throughout our whole lives how to be an artist, I think that is a lie that we tell ourselves so that we can believe that someday we won't have to grapple with this fear of being cringe or being bad or being a failure or whatever it is that we're afraid of. Like, we tell ourselves that there's an end date to this struggle, this back and forth we have with our artistic selves. But the truth is that it is a process and it will always be a process. And some days it'll come really easily to you and other days it will feel like a fucking grind, that you're struggling to get anything out, that you're struggling to put pen to paper at all. And that is okay. Give yourself permission to be a terrible writer. Even the best writers I know have written shitty things before. That's okay. We don't always need to be churning out the next best thing every day of our lives. Life is not just like an up and up and up and up and up. You write a great poem and your next one is always going to be better. Some days you'll write something great. The next day you write something shitty, and that is okay. My shitty poetry is just as important to me as the ones that I am most proud of, because the ones I'm most proud of never would have gotten written if I didn't allow myself to write the shitty poems in the first place. And then when you say, I'm curious what happened. Did I kill it? Did someone else do it? Did it die because I'm not good enough? I need you to know that it's not dead. It's still inside of you. It always has been and it always will be. What you need to focus on is learning how to pour back into your belief in yourself. You can't kill your own creativity, and nobody can take your creativity away from you either. That is an innate part of you. You were born with it. The only thing that changes is our relationship to it and how often we let ourselves exercise it. Give yourself permission to be bad and let yourself get in the habit of writing again. Start shooting down all these negative beliefs you have about yourself and start defending yourself from you. And listen, I know some people cannot get on board with this type of shit, but it really works for me. But when I think something nice about myself, I say it out loud. So some days I'll wake up and I'll go shower and I'll be doing my skincare and I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, you are so beautiful. You are so beautiful and gorgeous. What the hell? Who cooked you up in a lab? Or I'll write something and I'll read it back and I'll be like, God, yeah, you know what? I killed it. I fucking smashed it. Like, this is good. And when I feel good about myself, when I like something that I've created, I say it out loud. I verbalize it. And there's something powerful about that. It almost resonates in my brain as if someone else was saying it, even though I know that it's coming from me. And it also kind of feels like a protection of my child self in some ways. Like when I am complimenting my writing, instead of, looking at something I wrote and being like, God, you're the most untalented person on the face of the planet. Like, imagine your child self that's being creative and learning for the first time. Imagine that insult going to them, because that doesn't feel so good. Right? You would want your child self that's learning and discovering what they're passionate about for the first time to feel like they had the opportunity to explore themselves, to be cringe, to be stupid, to be bad, to be great. The standards are different when you're a child, right? When you're a kid and you write what would probably be considered a shitty poem if someone that was 30 years old wrote it, but when you're 8 years old and you write a poem, it's like, holy fuck, you wrote a poem when you're 8 years old, and it's like kind of fucking good for an 8-year-old. Like, go back to the time in your life where there was no such thing as being bad at something because you were learning and growing. The belief that we stop doing that at some point because we reach a peak is what's killing all of us creatively. And also, I do think there is some value. Obviously, I think that if you're not ready to share what you're writing on, don't share it. Keep it to yourself. Do not invite criticism in until you are ready to receive that. But when you are ready to share your work, I think that it is a very powerful and encouraging thing to do that. Even if all of the response to it is bad, I think the act of being courageous and putting your name next to something and saying, I made this, I think it encourages you to keep going in some ways as well. I like sharing my work. I like being able to write something, allow myself to feel proud of it, and then share it with other people when I feel ready to share it. And I don't need anybody to like what I do. I don't need anybody to listen to read a poem of mine and think it's awesome. Every single person could hear it, read it, and be like, it's just kind of whatever. It's okay. Everybody could not fuck with it. But to me, it's like a connection with my own emotions. It doesn't matter to me if you don't get it, because I get it, because I lived it, because I felt it, because I was the one that put pen to paper, and it's profound to me, even if it isn't to you. And it's important to me to be courageous, to be brave, and to let the world see me in this way. I want to be remembered by the things that I've created. I want to be brave enough to be vulnerable and share myself with the world in that way. I don't care if nobody gets it, if people don't resonate with it. That really is not important to me, because it's about me. It's about my relationship with myself and living in alignment with who I am, keeping the promises that I make to myself. That's what's important to me. And naturally, you do find an audience of people who like what it is that you're doing, that like your writing, that like, whatever it is that you're creating. Naturally, eventually, you find your people. So I do think that being brave enough to share your creations is also important, because to me, like, wearing my creativity on my sleeve and letting that be a part of my public life is something that makes me feel like I'm living in alignment with my higher self. That's what fills me with purpose and drive and passion. And if you don't like it, if you don't see the vision, that's totally okay. There's lots of different artists out there that will cater to you in different ways. And you just have to let other people have a different vision than you do. You have to let yourself create, because it's what you need to do. It's in alignment with you and your higher self. Other people's opinions of that is kind of the least important thing of this whole shebang. It's not about them. It's about you and honoring yourself. And no, this part of yourself is not dead. You didn't kill it. Nobody else took it from you. It's still there. Now you've just got to fight like hell to bring her to the main stage. kind of went in on that one, but it was an important submission. I could talk until I run out of air in my lungs about being creative and clinging to your creative self at all costs, and getting rid of the idea that being cringe is a bad thing, or that we need to be perfect at all of our various creative endeavors, and that's the only way for us to be good. I don't believe in any of this. What I love is someone who is brave enough to put themselves out there and create. That is always what I've admired in other people. All of my favorite artists are not necessarily people who I love every single thing they've ever put out. They are people that I think have interesting perspectives, that are brave enough to let themselves be seen in all of their various conditions. That's what I find inspiring. And that's like freeing to me as well, to make note of what I find inspiring in other people and internalize to myself that it is rarely as rigid as the standards I might impose on myself inside my own brain. So anyways, I'm going to throw it on over to the post show, where I've got some thoughts and reflections on dating and putting some puzzle pieces together. Okay, so head on over to the Patreon if you want to hear more about all of that during the after show. Obviously, would love to see you over on Patreon for a variety of reasons. We have a beautiful little Discord server where everyone hangs out. The Lover Girls have actually started their own Lover Girls book club, which I love. The Discord is an open home for anyone to connect and create your own little clubs. There's plenty of people on there that might be down to do it with you, whatever it is. So I would love to see you over on the Patreon, would love to see you over on the Discord. And if I don't, I will see you in next week's episode. Goodbye.